And think about this for a second. If you extract a live virus from a live monkey with the polio vaccine, or the jugular of a horse with the DPT vaccine, or aborted fetal tissue for the MMR, anyway, you extract a live virus from a live animal, you're extracting every virus that particular monkey ever had, and then you're bypassing God's defenses, fever, vomiting, diarrhea, injecting the RNA, DNA, and blood of these animals into the pure blood stream. And we're wondering why we have an epidemic of autism, and all disease labels you're going to learn as I continue. To me, it's a no-brainer. Scripture constantly says not to mix the blood, animal blood, with our blood. Unfortunately, medical doctors, I've learned, are taught evolution because the pharmaceutical companies pretty much fund the medical schools, and the textbooks, they pretty much have a say in what they learn. And they're taught evolution, they're not taught creation. So if you think we come from monkeys, why would you think having monkey viruses in our body is a problem? And that's why they're just misinformed. I wish every one of you guys were pediatricians. Vaccine poisoning. How do we become so conditioned? Back up to the right-hand corner. I missed that slide, very important slide. He just passed away a couple years ago. Major voice for the voiceless, Dr. Bernard Rimland. This is the top right-hand corner. He's the director of the Autism Research Institute, founder of the Autism Society of America. He was internationally recognized as a leading expert in autism. He's actually the gentleman Dustin Hoffman studied to make the movie Rain Man. His son Mark, he studied to make the movie. He's also the gentleman that created the DAN protocol, Defeat Autism Now. You probably heard Jenny McCarthy talking about her son being cured from autism. I personally know 3 autistic children that are no longer autistic because of Dr. Rimland's protocol. And all it is going to a group of physicians who acknowledge the cause of a problem. You can't fix a problem unless you acknowledge the cause. They know that vaccines are injuring these babies, they're chelating them, putting them on the essential fatty acids, and literally pulling these children out of the realm of autism. Now, I've remarried in the last 2 years, and I'm now married to a naturopathic doctor, which also you're going to hear today, Dr. Truott, who has taught me you can even do the chelation and everything less evasively. He uses an organic oral zeolite. You just put it under their tongue in the juice, and it binds to the heavy metals and pulls them out. So I don't promote the DAN doctors as much anymore, just because since Dr. Rimland has passed, I've been told that Johnson & Johnson has bought his company, ARI. Anyway, so the tentacles have reached in there, so I don't promote the DAN doctors as much anymore. Opposed to going to a completely misinformed pediatrician, though I do recommend going to a DAN doctor. But if you have, you want to get rid of the autism or any disease label, my husband has that ability. Okay, vaccine poisoning. How do we become so conditioned? According to Dr. Robert Mendelsohn, who was a renowned pediatrician for 30 years and the author of A Medical Heretic and How to Raise a Healthy Child in Spite of Your Doctor, he quotes, modern medicine views, I'm sorry, wrong page. Okay, that slide is not on here for some reason, but that's okay. Dr. Mendelsohn, if you don't have his book, How to Raise a Healthy Child in Spite of Your Doctor, I recommend getting that if you have young children. He basically acknowledged as a pediatrician that much of what we've been led to believe simply is not true, and he urged everyone to avoid and to not take any of the inoculations. Conflicts of interest that we need to be aware of. I'm sorry, my slides are a little out of order here, it looks like. You know what? Turn the page. There's one page out of order here. Dr. Mendelsohn, MD. Because you need to hear his quotes. Wonderful, wonderful man he was. Dr. Mendelsohn, the renowned pediatrician, quotes, "The pediatrician serves as the recruiter for the medical profession. He indoctrinates your child from birth into a lifelong dependency on medical intervention. The best way to raise a healthy child is to keep him or her away from the doctors except emergency care. Most doctors ignore the fact that the human body is a wondrous machine with the astonishing capacity to repair itself, like a broken arm or a cut in the finger." He said the first stage of indoctrination is the well baby visit, a cherished ritual of the pediatrician that enhances their income but does nothing constructive for your child. Well baby visits are worthless. The purpose of the pediatrician is to vaccinate your child. I'm 44 years old. When I was a little girl, pediatricians did not exist. I went to a family doctor. Pediatricians are vaccine clinics. They would not have a business without the vaccinations. He also quotes in the 19th chapter of his book that the greatest threat of childhood diseases lies in the dangerous and ineffectual efforts made to prevent them through mass immunizations. Much of what you've been led to believe simply isn't true. If I were to follow my deeper convictions, I would urge you to reject all inoculations for your child. Now, we've learned that these multi-component vaccines, as well as the single vaccines given together at one time, contain many, many toxins that you have the right to know. I had the right to know. Vaccines contain ingredients such as MSG, antifreeze, phenol, which is used as a disinfectant, formaldehyde, which is cancer-causing, aluminum associated with Alzheimer's disease and seizures, glycerin, toxic to the kidney, liver, can cause lung damage, gastrointestinal damage, and death. Lead, cadmium, sulfates, yeast proteins, antibiotics, which means against life, against God. Now, after meeting my husband Gary, he actually taught me you can do natural things like colloidal silver, grapefruit seed extract instead of anti-God. Acetone, which is a nail polish remover. Neomycin, streptomycin. And then, of course, most of us have heard about the thimerosal, more toxic than mercury. A preservative still used in many vaccines, not easily eliminated, can cause severe neurological damage as well as other life-threatening autoimmune diseases. They're grown and strained through human or animal tissue like monkey and dog kidney tissue, chick embryo, calf serum, human diploid cells, which is the dissected organs of aborted fetuses, pig blood, horse blood, rabbit brain. The problem with animal cells is that during the serial passage, the contaminated RNA and DNA can be transferred from one host to another. An example of this is from 1955 through 1961 with SV40. This stands for simian virus number 40, meaning the 40th monkey virus found. Congressman Burton had hearings on the SV40 and uncovered that the SV40 was associated with brain, bone, and lung tumors, cancer tumors found in children and adults today from the vaccinations. 1 in 2 people today are being labeled with cancer. My husband has a 2-year-old with a brain tumor, a 4-year-old with leukemia. New information released during the testimony suggests a live oral polio vaccine used in the late 1990s may have been contaminated. These vaccines are still done in the doctor's offices today. Do you think the FDA, the licensing board for vaccines, should have stock and patents on vaccines being developed? Do you think having financial ties to the drug companies could possibly influence the decision-making process? Congressman Burton uncovered many instances in his hearings of federal government health agency officials taking money from or owning stock in the pharmaceutical companies. Some even worked to develop the vaccines themselves, thus having a financial and an emotional investment in their adoption. These same people were sitting on the pharmaceutical boards mandating which vaccines were required for school. Okay, now we're in the left-hand bottom corner of Dr. Mendelssohn's quotes. One of his hearings uncovered, I have the minutes of a CDC study group meeting on the Hep B vaccine held in March '97. It should be noted that the afternoon session of this meeting was chaired by Dr. Robert Shar of Merck, a pharmaceutical company. Another example was in a Scotland on Sunday newspaper quotes. Professor David Illiman, whose study said fears of a link between the MMR vaccine and autism were unfounded, admitted that he and Dr. Helen Bedford had been given money by Drudgeline, SmithKline, Beecham, Pasteur's, Merck Sharp, and Dome, other pharmaceutical companies. Other conflicts of interest we have the right to know about. And please don't take this as a negative message. This is not a negative message, this is a positive message. You are learning truth. You're going to save your children and yourself by being here today and learning truth, so thank you. And take it as a positive message and help reach the misinformed masses. That's why we're here.